Hello and welcome to the Brotherhood of Kings roundtable discussion, where the intention is to support and empower Black men, which includes all men of color, to embody and express authentic masculinity. We are a group of dedicated men who are committed to engaging men of color in a dialogue that supports them in becoming the best version of themselves so they can create extraordinary lives. And now I want to introduce you to a group of men who have created a new, shall I say, movement. It's called the Brotherhood of Kings. And once again, we are a group of men who are committed to empowering Black men to live extraordinary lives. So I want to first of all begin with Jermaine. What I'd like you to do, just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, thank you, bro. Jermaine Johnson, calling from Atlanta, right? It's my hometown. And I am currently the executive director of the Brotherhood of MKP, which is a container for men of some obvious African ancestry to support men in doing their work. And by doing their work, I mean going deeper to figure out what's true for me. And then making a different choice or maybe the same choice and helping me using I statements to become better for the community and for myself.
Nice. All right, Paul, you're up, baby.
Blessings. Great to be here. My name is Paul Newell. I am a men's health and well-being guide. I help men to embody their spirit, their purpose through body movement, through mental clarity and practices, and through soul alignment. And I'm also one of the co-founders of the King's College DMS, which is the Divine Masculine series that specializes in working and educating Black men on the different blueprints of masculinity and tapping into their true authentic selves. Excited to be here.
Beautiful. All right, Ramoku, your turn.
Blessings, men. My name is Brother Remoku. My pronouns are he, him, his. I am a Spanish translator and interpreter, a men's coach, and I'm also the co-founder of King's College DMS, along with our beautiful brother Paul Newell here. I help men master the magic of their emotions and manifest the life of their dreams. And it's an honor to be here.
Whoa. And I'm Coach Michael Taylor. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an author, motivational speaker who is committed to empowering people to transform their lives from the inside out. So, men, I just want to say first and foremost, it is my absolute pleasure and honor to be having this conversation with you. We've got a huge mission in the world, and I'm so excited to bring that mission to Black men around the world. So I want to begin, first of all, by talking about the Brotherhood of Kings and what's its vision and what's its mission. So, Jermaine, let's start with you. You are, again, part of the Brotherhood of MKP. So give us a little background of what that is and how it ties into the Brotherhood of Kings.
Yeah, good question, bro. You know, I love to hear myself talk, so I'm going to go a little bit in right here.
My man.
So the Brotherhood of Kings is a collaboration of the men from the Brotherhood of MKP and these men from King's College. And our mission is to help to empower men in local communities and in their families, to help to educate men on what I consider real masculinity is, not what I learned when I was 8 years old. I've learned that that's a different thing. And to have enough courage to speak to what that means for them. You know, I know for me in my journey, it began 6 years ago when I went to my New Warrior training adventure, which is a intensive weekend that we have here at MKP. And what it taught me was that as a new warrior or as a mature masculine man, I can make the decisions that I want to make that best serve me today. You know, I don't have to live with past trauma. I don't have to live with messages I took on as a kid, you know, which for me amounted to, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, you know, all of these things. And today I can make a different choice, bro, you know, and it feels good to stand in that power, especially as a man of color.
Yeah, and we're going to go deeper with that one, man. Appreciate that intro. Ramoku, tell me, in your opinion, what is the Brotherhood of Kings? How would you describe it?
The Brotherhood of Kings is a safe container for Black men and masculine identified folks to just be, first and foremost. We live in a society that places numerous expectations on us on what it means to be masculine, on this performance. Men come into this container to let go of that performance, to just shed, and to have the opportunity to safely inquire into themselves so that they can figure out what's true for them and how they want to live. That's what it is to me.
Paul?
This is a great question. To me, the Brotherhood of Kings is a league of galactic, authentic Black masculine beings. That's what it is to me. I think it's this space where we're helping brothers ascend. We're helping the masculine ascend, the Black masculine, and call it that, because that's what it is, and that's what we're here to really tune into. And to me, it's a safe space, and safe meaning it's a stable space. It's got structure, and it's also got flexibility. So more of the Black masculine can come and explore and dive into themselves and learn how they express themselves out in the world, where most of the time there's internal and external oppression. So that's what it is to me.
Well, for me, I've been doing men's work, if you will. I've been engaged in this conversation about masculinity for more than 25 years. And most of the time, as I was going through this process of my own growth, I was learning about who I am as a human being, as a man. There were very few Black men engaged in this work. And there were times when I felt isolated and alone and just disconnected is probably the best word. But I knew that I couldn't have been the only Black guy that wanted to do that type of work. And so what I've done is taking the experiences that I've had and I share through my writing and my speaking with other Black men. And so what I see the Brotherhood of Kings is as the perfect platform to engage Black men in personal development work. Now, we're going to be talking a lot about masculinity tonight. But for me, personal development is simply the process through which we move from who we thought we were to who we were born to be. And I think as Black men, that's where we should be moving to. Who were we born to be? And when we can answer that question and we live in our mission, anything is possible. So we're going to be talking about men's work. So men, I want to begin by modeling for the audience what men's work might look like. So we're going to do a quick check-in. So a check-in is a process that we use to get centered, to be present. But rather than try to explain it, we're going to actually do a check-in. So Ramoku, would you please check in for us, please?
Like that.
Absolutely, brother. Remoku, checking in, feeling depressed. I feel it in my chest. I feel it in my gut. And it is this sensation of sinking. And I choose to give myself the space to just be as I am with this sensation that's moving through my body. I also experience great joy to be present with you men, to be present in this magnificent unfolding, something that will go beyond all of our imaginations. So I'm sitting both with this depression that has been present within me for some time, and also this deep, amazing joy at what's unfolding. And with that, I'm in.
Oh,
I see.
Paul.
Yeah. Paul, I also want to pause for a second. If those that are hearing these words, if you can relate to these words that are being spoken, just raise your hand. We may you know, we're most likely not seeing you. That's okay. Just and raise your hand just so energetically that's part of a check-in. So you may be listening to this, or if you're viewing this, you're going to see people raising their hands. That's what we do at a check-in. And the reason why we do that is so men know that they're far from alone, like other men experience this. So as Raymoko was talking about this, about depression and feeling sunken and feeling that feeling, I was raising my hand because I felt that too. And I've felt that recently, and that's part of my check-in. I'm checking in grateful. I've had the past week, I've had some very depressive, I've been in a depressive state. I've been in a sad state. I've really been missing my father. And I'm checking in with a little bit of anger. I'm dealing with some situation with my former wife and what I perceive as manipulation. And especially around my time I have with my son. So I'm managing that experience right now. And there's a lot of joy emotionally thinking about what we're doing here and the possible ears that this is going to reach. And there's a lot of joy there. And mentally, my mind, mentally I want to go somewhere else because usually when stuff is big like this, I'm like, I get a little fearful, like, oh my God, can I handle this? Can I handle it? So there's that fear, there's that pull in me I feel that in my belly. It's like it's the game day bubblies, I call it. So I'm feeling that right now, and I'm excited to be here, and I'm in.
Oh, thank you, my brother Paul. Jermaine.
Shay, thank you, bro. Jermaine Johnson. I'm checking in. Fear and joy is on top. The fear is just from, being here and not knowing who might see this and judge it to be something other than what I intended it to be. But the joy is in seeing, brothers who look like me reaching out in a positive way and really walking the walk and talking that talk. For me, it gives me so much energy. It's funny because I was tired before I got on this call, and I feel like I could run like 10 miles right now. And it comes from energetically feeling the energy that you men bring, and then my own story around, things like this don't happen. Black men don't get together and do real things and really support each other and really, go out and unselfishly help the community in it. And this shatters that stereotype, bro. This right here shows me that yes, we do, and not only do we do, but we real good at it, right? And I want you to hear that part. These brothers is really good at it.
Bless
So
up.
I'm in with that joy and that fear, and I know that it's sitting on me, and I'm okay, and I can step through that. So I'm in with that.
Bless
Thank
up.
you, brother Jermaine. Well, for me, first of all, I'm checking in with a lot of joy and excitement because my wife and I we had a early 20th anniversary vacation this past weekend. Had a chance to had a chance to go to Quebec, Canada, and sleep in an ice hotel, believe it or not, which which was pretty interesting, something that she's always wanted to do for some reason. So my heart is full because of the relationship I have with this woman. I absolutely love and adore her to death. And again, 20 years happily married, just warms my heart just thinking about her and it. I'm overjoyed with excitement about being here with you men and the journey that we're about to embark on with this new project. I can't put into words the joy that I feel because I know for the last 20, 25 years or so, I've felt alone in a lot of cases because there were no men that looked like me doing this kind of work, having these types of conversations. So I just feel real grateful and blessed that we've been brought together to do this amazing work and to have this opportunity to share with other Black men to support and empower them. And that just lights me up. I'm just really excited about the potential of what's coming. I can visualize it. I see it already. It's going to be huge. And that just excites the hell out of me. And with that, I'm in.
Blessings.
So that again is a check-in. And tonight's conversation is about men's work. And if you're unfamiliar with men's work, I'm going to give each man an opportunity just to kind of describe in their own words how they would define men's work. And then we're going to jump into a few more questions. So Paul, let's start with you. How would you define men's work?
I'm so happy you came to me first, because as you were talking about this, I kept hearing Teddy Pendergrass like, you can't hide from self, no matter where you go. There you are. I'm going to tell you right now. I just kept hearing that in my mind, because that to me is men's work.
Got you.
Like I think it's, for me personally, I got into the work. It's going on. May will be 8 years ago. I was separated for about 2 years. Someone told me about this Mankind New Warrior training adventure. And I was like, first of all, as a black man, there's no way in hell I'm going to the woods with a bunch of white dudes. No. So like, I was like, man, what? You crazy. And when I went, I realized the impact of being in a secure space or this container, and to be able to step to myself and really get a better understanding of what's driving my behaviors, like what's driving my patterns. And it was, I've been to therapy, like when my dad passed, and like, through relationship and through marriage at that point, and even as through separation. And this was different, man. This was more than talk. This was getting me to energetically go to that space where I was fractured, or a part of myself severed off. And it had me acting in certain ways that like were insidious, man, that were like hidden. I would be blaming everybody else, but when you point a finger, three are pointing back at you. So men's work is getting to look at and really look at yourself in the mirror, and ask yourself the difficult questions, and be in a space where you can be supported rather than judged. That's what it is for me.
Nice. Jermaine?
Yeah, man. Thank you for this question, bro. And the short disclaimer is that there is not enough words that I could put in this segment that could really describe for you what it really is for me, like in my body. And so what I'll say to answer the question is, as human beings, we embark on this journey to discover who we really are. What are we supposed to do? What is it really all about, right? And during that journey, I picked up a lot of messages about who I was, about who the world was, right? And how I'm supposed to be in it. What is a man supposed to do? How is a man supposed to act? And I took on a lot of messages, not really knowing that I was taking on those messages. And as I was taking on those messages, I would create behaviors based on those messages, right? And that's really big, bro. To just even hearing myself say it is out there. And so what men's work is for me is the space where I clear all of that out, and it's just me. And then the question is, now what? What do you want to be? How do you want to show up? What's currently working and what's not serving me? And then creating the experience that I want to create. And I could be in the room with 25 men, bro, and there's 25 different answers, different journeys going on simultaneous, right? So it's not about one theory and everyone following a theory. This is about clearing everything out so I can discover what's really true for me, bro. I'm in with that.
Yeah, finding your truth. Beautiful. Ramoku?
I would say that the inner work, men's work, is the process by which I refine how I live through rigorous introspection and self-reflection. This includes evaluating whether or not I am in integrity or accountability with myself or someone else. This has to do with, am I living in alignment with the things that I say I want to do? In addition to that, men's work gives us the opportunity to feel our true feelings. One of the most common aspects of masculinity or normative masculinity or traditional male socialization is all of us to some extent have received this message that it is not appropriate or manly to voice or express our emotions. So in men's work, we get the opportunity to do all of that and more. We get the opportunity to take it to great lengths, to express ourselves, to uncover the parts of ourselves that we've hidden, denied, or repressed, and integrate them back into the personality in a wholesome way and with the support of other loving men within the group, or what we call the container. So that's how I define men's work and inner work.
Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate that wisdom. So I want to talk a little bit about cultural conditioning. We live in a society and culture that has conditioned us to believe as men, we're supposed to act a certain way. We were basically taught that as men, we had three primary responsibilities, what I call the 3 Ps: procreate, provide, and protect. And so as men, what do? We follow these rigid roles of trying to provide, protect, and procreate. So we were taught to do these things, but something was missing, because we were conditioned to believe that we were supposed to provide and protect, but society never taught us how to connect. And what I believe we as men really long for is connection. And so men's work, I believe, is about learning how to connect. It's about letting go of rigid societal rules that say this is how a man is supposed to be. Now, when it comes to being a Black man, those rules are compounded with all of the negative stereotypes that we as Black men have to deal with. But ultimately, it's really about us as men being willing to learn how to connect, first and foremost with self, and then with others. My assertion, my judgment, if you will, is that Black men have been conditioned for so long to protect themselves, because look at all the externals that we had to literally protect ourselves from. So we created this armor to survive. But now it's time to drop that armor, because you can't connect with that armor on. And so we as Black men have to have spaces in which we can drop that armor so we can connect. And that's part of the intention of the Brotherhood of Kings, to create a space for you to drop that armor so that you can connect with self, connect with others. And that's how I see men's work. So when we talk about men's work,
Dan, that was beautiful. Can we get a second on that? That was a beautiful round. Yeah, that was tight. I appreciate all you meant for what you said and the different perspectives. So thank you for that. Wow.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's a testament too, bro, to the difference in our journeys, right?
Truth.
And I love the question, Michael, is like, what is men's work to you?
Word.
Because that is extremely important, bro.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for that.
Can I say, like, that's one of the things I appreciate about what we're doing with the circle, right? What is it to you? So it gives Black men an opportunity to express from self. Because, like, you just said it, like, yo, what are we conditioned? How are we conditioned to connect? Like, okay, am I supposed to say this?
Yeah.
Am I supposed to, okay, what is men's work? Well, let me just give you, I'm going to give you this template of what I think you want to hear.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that we have this space, that we created this space with this alliance to give men the opportunity, like, hey, how do you perceive this? And welcome whatever comes. Right. So I appreciate, like, this is in action exactly what we're creating. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've come to believe that there are only two things that'll cause a man to want to change. One is pain, and the other is what I call divine discontent. So, men, I want you to think back before you began your inner journey. What was the trigger that caused you to begin that process? Because again, I know there are men that are watching this and they're going to be, what in the hell are these guys talking about? I'm disconnected. But then when we share from that space of pain or divine discontent, I think there can be a connection there. So men, what was it that triggered you to begin your inner journey? And I'll start. At the age of 23, I was living the American dream. I had the house, the wife, the 2.5 kids, and by society standards, I was pretty successful. Within about a 6.5-year time frame, that American dream turned into the American nightmare as I went through a divorce, bankruptcy, foreclosure, a deep, deep state of depression. I was even homeless for 2 years, living out of my car. And as I started rebuilding my life, this question just came up that I decided that I wanted to answer. And that question was this: what does it mean to be a man? Because I had done everything I thought a man was supposed to do to be happy, and yet I was absolutely miserable. And so my divorce was my wake-up call. It was that event that triggered me to begin my journey of transformation, that inner journey of transformation that I'm still on today, some 30 years later. And so that's how I began my process, because I was in so much pain. Something had to shift. As a matter of fact, I got to a point where it was either get help or die. There was no in between. Fortunately for me, I didn't drink or do drugs or alcohol. I would have been dead a long time ago. I'm absolutely certain of that. But it was that pain, that suppressed, repressed pain that I had been carrying for years, that caused me to begin my journey. Ramoku, how did you start your journey?
When I was first exposed to men's work, I was living as a resident in a very traditional Soto Zen Buddhist temple here in New Orleans. And there was a man by the name of Harry Lowenberg who persisted over the course of 2 years to have me come to an NWTA. And prior to that, I had been doing inner work on my own around my own sexuality and trying to figure out my attraction to other masculine beings. And I had joined a fraternity years prior, Phi Beta Sigma. And there was still something missing from those experiences, in that my fraternity experience was wonderful and it was also normative. And I wasn't connecting with men in a deep, vulnerable way, the way that I desired. And I think my Zen work, even though Zen isn't personal development work, it was still a wonderful initiation to look deeper into myself, but in a more day-to-day sense. Zen took me into a cosmic sense that eradicated the boundaries between person and other. Personal development work takes me right into the, how should I put it? A very human experience, a dualistic experience. So because of my Zen work, the stage was set to be more receptive to personal development work and the NWTA. And it was a shift of a lifetime, let me tell you. There was also some unresolved trauma, you could say, from my childhood, and trying to figure out what this anger had to do with. And so I decided to give it a shot and jump into personal development work. And I never looked back since.
Wow. Beautiful. Zen. I love Buddhism, by the way.
Me too, as you can see.
Thank you for sharing. Jermaine.
Yeah, thank you for that, bro. I didn't know that about you, man. I'm glad you just shared that. Thank you for that. So Michael, first, let me just say thank you for how you set that up. Because I didn't realize until this very moment what it was that brought me to men's work. I always thought it was, I would describe it as a discontent or a not feeling connected to anything, but I really couldn't put a real title to it until you just said spiritual discontent, right? Something in my spirit wasn't right. And so my story began, you know, it's similar to yours, bro. I did it all. You know, I had two houses, you know, cars, everything you can imagine was mine for the taking. My business is doing, at the time, was doing really well, is still doing really well. And what I'm identifying now in this moment as the spiritual discontent is how I found the Mankind Project was I was just searching online for different men's organizations. I just wanted to connect with a men's group. And at the time, I didn't know what that was. I knew it wasn't church or, you know, something traditional in that way. So I started just looking up. I thought maybe it was the Freemasons. You know, I heard a lot about that. Maybe is that what I'm looking for? Where I can kind of learn a little bit and then, you know, network and be in camaraderie and partnership with other men and stuff like that. And then something popped up with this New Warrior training adventure. And this is why how you set it up was so important, because the spiritual discontentment came from that I had read the book Iron John about 3 times, right? And so I was really fixated on the author and poet Robert Bly. And it was something that he would say in the book that just stuck with me, which was men come into enlightenment through trauma. And it used to sit on me really hard, but I didn't understand why it was sitting on me. It was I was discontent is exactly what it was. And so I signed up for this weekend, not knowing what it was. I just figured for once in my life, I'm going to take a chance and do something that I'm not in control of, because everything else in my life, I had the finger on the pulse, bro. Nobody moved until I say move. Nothing happened until I said it could happen. And this was the first time in a very long time that I was kind of letting go. Let me see what you do when you guide, you know? And I took a chance and I went. And to this day, bro, I refer to my journey as pre-initiation. You know, who was Jermaine pre-initiation and who was he after? Because the difference is really like night and day. Really. What I found on that weekend about me completely changed everything I understood about myself, about my role in the world, and about my role to me personally. It changed it all. So my origin story begins in a discontentment, and now I feel that I don't have that spiritual discontentment. I got brothers all around the world now, and depending on how I feel that day, I reach out to whatever feels good at that point, you know. And I know that I could sit in authenticity. I can make agreements that are actually held. I can be in integrity with my own mission, right? And lastly, I create a safe and loving world by healing myself first and sharing my gifts with others, bro.
Mm.
And I'm actually living that mission right now. Thank you, bro.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you. I feel that deeply, 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 deeply. Paul.
Damn. Yeah. I'm like, man, I was hoping I went before Jermaine, man. So, man, I appreciate this question. I appreciate this so much, and I'm gonna bring my mission into this at the end. So for me, the moment of spiritual discontent was I remember it was a weekend after Fourth. It was a weekend after 4th of July weekend. I was at a friend of mine, Carrie's wedding, and I was there alone. My wife was at home with my kid. And I remember I got so banged up drunk. I was the opposite of you, Michael. I drank and drugs. It was like my freaking go-to. And I remember I was at this wedding. I was just like feeling so alone. And the more alone I felt, the more I drank. I had about 5 pitchers of sangria that night. And I got behind the wheel like I would usually do after being drunk. Two things happened that I was scared of most. I remember I stopped off at Wendy's. That wasn't one of the scary things, but I stopped off at Wendy's to get food to try to sober up. And on my way home, I crashed my car. And I hit a pole. I barely missed it. And I was like, stuff, man. I was like, okay, damn. I got out, the car was still able to drive. I was like, man, I was like, that was a close one. About 4 blocks, I turned, I was close to home. I'm a block away from home and I get pulled over by the cops. And I was like, I'm going to jail, which was one of my other fears. My first fear was like, I'm going to kill myself behind the wheel. Second fear is I'm going to go to jail. And as a black man, I'm never going to see the light of day. And I was like, I was in the car. I was like, I'm done. I was like, well, you know, this is where else. I was like, hey, I'd done everything, right? I made the money. I got married. I literally got a house in the corner with the fence. I got a kid. This is what I was supposed to do. I'm freaking miserable. And I remember the cop let me go. And I remember I was like, yo, I went home, I rolled a joint, and I sat in my yard all night talking to a tree, AKA spirit. And I remember the voice was like, okay, so we showed you what can happen. You want to keep going on this path? So you want to make some hard decisions right now because you're going to die. You're going to end soon. So what do you want to do? And I remember I was there. There was a lot of crying that night, snot bubbles, like coming to realizations. And like, it was rough, man. And I remember I sat, and as the sun came up, it dawned on me it was time for a change. And it scared me because I didn't know what the hell that looked like. And that was the day I decided to step away from my marriage and my kid. And it was something as a man I told myself I'd never do because my parents were divorced. I said, I'd never do that to my kid. And I felt like a failure for years, man. And the drinking got harsher. I used sex as a way to numb myself, which resulted in 2 different kids with 2 different women. So I had 3 with 3 different women. And I was in pain, man. And I didn't know because I thought that that's just how you deal with it. And from that part, like, you know, I think I want to make sure I tell this tale that was a lot of rocky things, a lot of stubbornness, resistance to even going to a weekend or getting help. Like, I'm fine. Just get me a damn martini and shut the hell up or roll a joint or whatever. I just was running and I stopped running. And this work continues to be done. And it's like I'm realizing I was lacking a mission. Now I have a mission to co-create a heartful culture of men by guiding myself first and other men how to authentically vibrate in body, mind, and soul. Because when we could do that as Black men, and I grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood, so I was free of being accepted by the whites. I was like, you're not like the other ones. That's what I used to hear all the time. I was like, is that a compliment? Is it? And then by the black people, they were like, Black population, they were like, man, you I don't know who are you? You like what's this button down business? So I was alone most of my life. So like to be in this space of learning to let go and stop and to trust was something that's continues on my journey. But that's where this everything started to turn that night, man.
Wow. So as you're watching this, I hope you will feel into the stories that we've just shared, because as Black men, we all share the same pains. We all share the same divine discontent. We all are just human beings trying to navigate through this thing called life. But I will assert, I think what has been missing is a space for us as Black men to come to deal with life, to connect with our authentic selves. And so what we've put together is a program, if you will, an organization, if you will, a movement called the Brotherhood of Kings. And this movement is for you. You don't have to be alone anymore. There are men out there who will support you and challenge you to become the best version of yourself. But you've got to be willing to engage. You've got to be willing to engage in this work, in this conversation. Now, this little 1-hour video is kind of hopefully giving you an introduction to this work that we're talking about. But you're going to have to trust yourself, because if you're watching this video, I'm absolutely certain it's no accident. I'm absolutely certain you're watching this for a reason. And that reason may be, like Paul said, like Jermaine said, like we've been looking for something and we don't know what that something is, that divine discontent, that spiritual discontent. I will assert that that is your soul, your spirit seeking freedom.
Michael, can I jump in there on something? Because I want to, as we're talking about this, especially with our mission of supporting the divine Black masculine, I want to touch on the word king, because when Raymoko and I when we first created King's College, that was a topic that was just like, well, let's look at this word king. And like from our background in the Mankind Project, we're focused on the Jungian concept of teaching like the concept of king, warrior, magician, lover. And there's a lot of connotation about king being a dominant or a tyrant or all these things, why you got to be a king and dominate and things like this. And our intention is more of the king, aka sovereign energy, aka inner knowing. Like our intention is to support Black men to connect to their true selves, to recognize what is their way, because they know. The thing is we've recognized that we've been conditioned to believe certain things about ourselves, which are far from the truth. So the king is a title, and its intention is to create a space for men to come authentically, be heard, be seen, to connect, and to know that they're supported. Every week, whatever you got, whatever you come with is always welcome. That's why I'm excited that we create this space, and also that sovereign energy space for men to tap into, for masculine to tap into.
Yeah.
Yes. And if I could just piggyback off of that for 1 second, if that's okay, brother. King to me is a very strategic term that we created because we know how that term appeals to the Black masculine. So it was oriented in a very business strategic way so that we could cast our net wide and attract men into this circle, right? We know how that energy resonates. And once in the circle, we foster a new understanding of what sovereign, what king energy is. And to me, it means having access to all parts of myself, kind of like an avatar, right? Like I have access to my sword if I need it. I have access to my crown. I have access to my emotions, and I have access to my magic wand, right? The 4 traditional archetypes: lover, warrior, magician, or mystic, and sovereign king, right? So king to me, in a way, represents having access to all of the pieces of my personality that I may have eschewed growing up due to messages that I received that this part of myself was not wholesome, lovable, or accepted. No, as a matter of fact, all of these parts are lovable because all of these parts are me, right?
Amen.
The other thing that I wanted to clarify is who exactly is this group for, right? Brother, you were speaking to the audience and you were saying you. And I just want to clarify that for one moment. The Brotherhood of Kings is for any person, one who identifies as BIPOC, Black, or some person of obvious African ancestry, a person who is Indigenous or First Nation, and any person who identifies as a person of color. Okay, that's one. So if you identify as BIPOC, you have a place in the circle. Two, if you identify as a cisgender man or male, you have a place in that circle. What does cisgender mean? It means that your sense of personal or gender identity corresponds to the sex assigned to you at birth, and you have been socialized into a normative understanding of manhood or maleness. Okay, so that includes all of us. We're cisgender men. Three, if you identify as a transgender man or transmasculine, i.e., your sense of personal or gender identity does not correspond to the sex assigned to you at birth, and you are masculine of center, however you define that, you are welcome in this circle. Four, if you identify as non-binary or gender non-conforming and have been socialized as male and are masculine of center, you have a place in the circle. And lastly, this is something that we tend not to talk about as much, but if you identify or are intersex and are male socialized, you have a place in this circle too. We're in a place in our development in which our understanding of what it means to be a man and what it means to be masculine is changing. And we understand that our conversations around masculinity are not complete unless trans men, trans masculine folks, non-binary, masculine of center folks, and everyone in between are a part of this conversation. So I just wanted to impart that.
Thank you so much for putting that out there, because again,
You,
a king includes all of that.
Yes.
No matter what you identify with, you are a king. Our job is to help you acknowledge and recognize and express your kinghood, if you will. And all men, as Rumoko said, are welcome in this group. So,
no.
Can
I just acknowledge that King and Ray Moku? Because every time he gets in that mode, boy, I'm like, oh yeah, boy, get him, Ray Moku. Oh yeah, you getting vibrating high.
Bro, I'm tearing up here. I got tears coming. Like, oh my God! Like, it meant so much for me to say that because I'm an LGBTQ plus advocate. I have friends who are trans men, trans masculine, and it means so much to me to be able to support our queer brothers in their journey as well, and to let them know that you have a place too. And what I love about this circle, and I don't know if any other circles are doing this, but I believe that what we're doing is unprecedented in that cis men, trans men, non-binary, gender non-conforming, masculine of center folks are coming together to have constructive conversations about identity. And we need you all. So welcome.
And so this leads you to an opportunity. So if you've watched this video to this point, you're obviously interested and engaged. So what we're going to offer you is an opportunity to go deeper into this conversation. And one way to do that is by, we're going to use the term Brotherhood of Kings Collective, which is a every Saturday conversation. So Rumoko, would you explain what that event is that men can come to go deeper into this work?
Absolutely. The BKC Circle will model traditional I groups from the Mankind Project. So there will be a check-in, what we tend to call the round of the lover, where we give participants the opportunity to express how it is they're truly feeling and where those feelings are in the body. This goes against a lot of the conditioning that we have been taught to internalize, right? We've been taught to believe that we have to keep these in and come off with this less than emotional affect. quite the opposite. The round of the lover is where you bring it out. You let people see you. You let yourself be heard. Let that aspect of your humanity come out, right? We also move into the round of the warrior. This is the opportunity to evaluate if you are in accountability with yourself and with the circle. And if not, there's an opportunity to get back into accountability. And what I mean by that is, did I make an agreement, and did I, um, uh, how should I say, did I act in alignment with what I said I was going to do? Are my words and are my actions in alignment, right? In addition to that, there's an opportunity to do processes led by me and Paul. Paul and I have been doing this work for some time. So really our role is to ask questions, not to try to get men to think like us, but really to have them inquire into themselves so that they can find the truth for themselves, right? And the last aspect of it is honor and blessing, the round of the sovereign. So that's an opportunity for men to speak life, to speak positive words of affirmation into each other, and to reciprocate that energy. So that in a nutshell is what the BKC circles will look like.
So what you have is an opportunity to join a group of men who are committed to you. Now, as I think back during the dark periods of my life, I wish I would have had a support system to help me deal with all the stuff that I was dealing with. Now, I can also say that back then, I probably wouldn't have had the courage to actually come into this space. But my hope is that if you're watching this video and you're dealing with some stuff and you've been looking for a resource to support you, I can assure you this would be a safe place so you know that you're not alone. Because I think that's the epidemic in our community. As Black men, we feel alone. And that's why suicide rates are so high. That's why addictions are so high, because we feel disconnected and alone. Well, we've put together this program, this movement to help men not be alone. We don't want you to be alone. You don't have to be alone. Here's an opportunity for you to connect with brothers who will support and empower you to reach your fullest potential and help you move through the challenges that you may be dealing with right now. We've all been on this amazing journey, and we're not claiming to have all the answers. But I can assure you, if you're willing to come in with your questions, a lot of your answers will come. Ultimately, it's about you waking up to who you are. And I defined transformation earlier as the process from which you go from who you thought you were to who you were born to be. And that's our hope for you, to get to that place where you are who you were born to be. So this starts on Saturday. The collective starts on Saturday. Is that correct, Paul?
That's correct. Saturday, March 5th, 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. Okay. There's a Zoom. I'm thinking where we can have the Zoom information come out. But there's a Zoom information, like I guess, Michael, they can get in contact with you, or then, like, is there somewhere in the show notes that we can have that link set up?
Yeah, we're going to put this on our YouTube channel, and it'll have a link below it. And so each of us, if we're posted on Facebook or whatever, we can direct men there.
Perfect. Yep.
And create that link. Now,
Nice.
If you're watching this after Saturday the 5th or whatever that is, know that the resource is going to be found at brotherhoodofkings.com. So you'll be able to go to the website, Brotherhood, and that's BROTHA, brotherhoodofkings.com. That's the site you need to bookmark. Make sure you come to it often. It's not up yet, but it will be up here pretty quickly. but make sure that you tap into that site on a regular basis, because there'll be a link for that Saturday meeting every Saturday, in addition to all the other things we're going to offer. So with that being said, men, we're going to have to wrap this up. So now I want to give you an opportunity to close with your final thoughts to the audience of what we've talked about and what the Brotherhood stands for, whatever's on your heart to share. And we'll start with you, Paul.
I was thinking something. Here's my thing. I'm gonna keep it simple. If you're listening to this and you're like, I still have no idea what these guys are talking about, and this is still intriguing me, I invite you to give this 2 shots. 2 times. Okay, come 2 times. The first time you'll probably most likely be uncomfortable. You'll be like, I'm feeling it out. Second time, you'll settle in. And after the second time, if you're like this, hey, nope, cool. I do ask 2 times. Come check us out. Come join this space. Step into the arena, man. Be in this extraordinary league of the masculine, divine black masculine, divine BIPOC masculine. And I'm out.
Ramoku.
You are free. And you are welcome. You are loved. We want to see you. We want to hear from you. We want to fellowship with you. And there's a place for you within the circle. Remember to always unconditionally love and accept yourself exactly as you are. And I always remember this from my lovely Zen tradition, to concentrate and consecrate yourself to each and every moment. Life is precious. Live it with all you've got. With that, I'm out.
Sweet. Jermaine.
Bro, we gets busy, son. That's my new slogan for 2022, man.
Yes, man.
Yo,
Yes.
let me tell you, if you was not moved by Michael Taylor, if Ray Moku didn't just make you cry with that, ain't nothing more I can say, bro. We gets busy. It's every Saturday, 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yo, come with everything you got, man. Throw us all the questions you want. And my want for you is come with everything so you can leave with everything, bro. Because I know what that feels like, man. To just leave it all on the table and then leave with everything that I needed, that I didn't even know I needed. Yo, the new slogan, bro, we gets busy. That's my new joint. I'm out with that.
I love it. I love it.
So it is my belief that your purpose is to become the grandest version of the greatest vision you hold for yourself as a human being. I want you to think about that for a moment. What is the vision you have for yourself as a man? How do you see yourself as a man? I believe you are unlimited. We use the term king. You are a king. Unfortunately, you may not have had the resources to support you in acknowledging and connecting to that king. Join us. Join us so we can support you in connecting to that king, because that king is there. If you're watching this video, I will assert that that king is what brought you here. It's why you're listening to this right now. So if you're ready, show up on Saturday for the BKC Collective. I can promise you, you will not be disappointed. You will not be disappointed. So, man, it's time to check out. So we're going to check out and then we're going to call it a night. So, Ramoku, let's start with you.
Remoku, checking out with a lightness in my heart. I feel an opening right here in my heart chakra. Joy, laughter, those tears just release something from my spirit. Relieved, inspired and on fire. That's where I'm at, man. With that, I'm out. Bless you all. And thank you, Coach, for having me.
Jermaine.
Yeah, Coach MT, Michael Taylor in the house. Yo, thank you, bro. That was, man, this is ill. Jermaine Johnson. We gets busy, man. I mean, really, that joy and that excitement, man. I don't know what I'm getting ready to do, but I can't go lay down right now. So, I got to do something. And for my man Ray Moku, bro, you get off this, man. I need you to take a minute and just breathe into that segment that you advocated for all of our brothers from all those different cultural circles, bro. That's exactly what we need in our community, man. That's the unity piece. It's all of us, the feminine, the masculine, and everything that coincides and gets in that groove in the middle, bro. That's all part of us. And all of those perspectives help me be better in my everyday life and real life with people, man. So take that moment. I'm definitely going to do it. And thank you to all you men for supporting this, supporting the Brotherhood of Kings Collective, the Brotherhood of Kings brand. I can't wait till we grow this to astronomical proportions, man, where men are really seeing the changes in their lives, bro. It's part of my mission, man. And I'm fulfilling that mission in here today. So thank you. I'm out.
Brother Paul.
Yes, man. Paul checking out in awe. Like this was all a dream. And I just I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about everything that's been said over this time that we've had together. And I just closed my eyes and was like, I felt like I just saw us in this arena, this space doing our work, and all these ancestors above us in this divine coliseum blessing us up, man. We are supported and we're looking forward to support. So I'm in and out with that, and I'm looking forward to seeing you, man. And seeing these masculine beings and how whoever shows up, I'm looking forward to seeing you and welcoming you. And I'm out with that.
Thank you, Paul. So I'm checking out with a sense of expectancy, knowing that something amazing is being birthed here. The deepest level of my being, I know how we're going to impact men's lives around the globe. And that just fills me with energy and optimism about what's possible. So I just want to acknowledge you men for showing up as the kings that you are. As I mentioned, there's no accidents. We've been brought together by divine appointment to do some amazing work. And it is my absolute honor and privilege to do this work with you. So, man, I love you. I love you more than words can say.
Love you too, Coach.
Love you too, brother.
Looking forward to what's next. So for those of you who are watching, final thoughts. Be the king you were born to be. Be the king you were born to be. We'll see you next episode of the Brotherhood of Kings Roundtable Discussion. Take care.